Okay, we are talking a little bit about older students today. I now have a high school student and she's preparing for college. It's really hard to believe I'm already at this point in my homeschool. It will get there faster than you can even imagine. So, even if you're just starting out and you have preschoolers, yeah, I was once there too, and I can't believe I'm starting to look back on my homeschool as we're nearing the end of the journey with our oldest child. And so, we've been talking a lot about college and future plans. Now, my husband is a university professor, so this means that college is a very common topic around our house. All of my kids love hearing stories about his students and about how things work at the university, so they're always very interested. And some of the things that we've talked about have really been the ways that he sees students are unprepared when they reach college. He has seen a lot of students who really struggle in a lot of areas. And so he really tries to mentor them and help them as they prepare for adulthood, career, life after college. And he's found a lot of them really struggle in a few key areas. And one of the biggest areas is the lack of character that they have. There are a few character qualities that are really lacking in college students, according to my husband and from what he's seen and we've discussed. So I wanted to share a few of those character qualities that he thinks are really, really vital for students. So, homeschooling is not just about the academics, it is really about helping your children develop character and the responsibility needed to be successful after all of their education and into their life, their careers, everything that follows. So it's really a lot more than just academics. And he finds that while a lot of students are academically prepared for college, and not all of them are, he finds that character is the biggest area where a lot of them are lacking. And on my blog, I share a story about college failure from one of his coworkers. So be sure and read that article where I share a story of why my husband's coworker's son did not succeed in college. And it really boiled down to character qualities and not necessarily academics. So let's talk about the 5 character qualities that my husband sees are really lacking in his students that are really, really important for college students. Okay, number 1 is persistence. Students need to have the ability to really stick with their projects, their assignments. They need to be tenacious so that they do not give up even when a task, a book, an assignment is not very enjoyable. Some classes are just not interesting, and sometimes the professor is not engaging either. And you just have to persevere and keep moving forward. It is really difficult to do when you have completely stopped caring about the topic, the class, the professor. It's hard to keep going, but it is really, really important to be diligent and persistent, to stick with it and to finish strong. The next character quality is initiative. So my husband finds that a lot of students do not ask for help. They don't take the initiative to come to him when they're first starting to struggle. It's not until right before the final that they admit that they have no idea what's going on and they really need some help. And they don't take the initiative. Many of them don't ever come to him. He actually goes to them and says, "How can I help you? What's going on? Do you need some additional support or assistance?" Because he can tell that they're really struggling and they're not engaged in class. But he has discovered the students who are most successful are the ones who speak up and they take the initiative to tell him what their needs are, to ask the questions. They complete things first, so they're not putting things off to the last minute because they're starting right away, which means that they have adequate time to discover that, oh, I need some help with this assignment. And they have that time to ask him. They're not starting something the night before it's due and sending him a frantic email at midnight when he's not awake and he's not going to respond till the next morning when it is too late. The deadline is about to pass. So they complete things first, they do things well, and they plan ahead. And they get started right away so that they have that time to ask questions. So initiative plus that persistence really makes a strong college student who can really ask for help when they need it and not give up when things are difficult. The next character quality is humility. He finds that a lot of college students know more than him and any other adult in the room. They think that now that they're on their own, they've graduated high school, they're ready for the world. They have the answer for everything. However, it's the student who really recognizes that there is still so much left to learn, and there's so many life experiences that they have no idea about. Those are the students that are the most successful because they see that they can learn from professors, they can learn from other students, and they're just more humble and willing to ask for help and admit that maybe they are wrong, maybe they need to change their perspective, or they need that help. Some students are just too prideful to admit that they really need help and they don't understand what's happening in class. Maybe they made it all the way through the highest level of their high school classes. They were taking AP and honors courses, but here they come to college and they're overwhelmed and they're confused, and they should know these things, right? Because they took all the classes about this topic in high school, but they're struggling and they're too prideful to admit that they really need help. So students who are successful know how to ask for help and accept the help graciously and understand that there is still so much to be learned. Learning is lifelong. Just because you graduated high school, you don't know everything. Just because you graduated college, you don't know everything. And they recognize that they have a lot to learn, and even professors have a lot to learn. So learning is a journey that can be taken together, and those students are the most successful when they finally realize this. Okay, next is integrity. This is a big one. I can't tell you how many times my husband has caught students with some academic misconduct, seen them plagiarize papers, or do things that are against the honor code of their school. Yes, it is such a struggle, and it really breaks his heart that they are making these decisions. But in college, there's not a lot of oversight. A lot of these students are leaving home for the first time. They're living on their own. They don't have the structure and the rules. They don't necessarily have a curfew. They are able to set their own schedule, their own plans, and a lot of these students are not ready for that level of freedom and flexibility. So they find themselves in compromising situations. Maybe they're facing the temptation to skip class or cheat on an exam or plagiarize an assignment, and they give in because they've waited until the last minute. They don't have the initiative, and so they are facing that deadline and they don't think that they can do it. So they will cheat and take the easy road out, which usually ends up really backfiring on them because they do get caught. If it's not in the first time they do it in that class, they will get caught down the road. And it is really sad when a student fails a class or is not able to continue studying at the university because of academic misconduct. So a student who has integrity, they have a strong moral compass. They're able to withstand the pressures that they face as they are on their own and they have lots of options. Sometimes some really bad choices are presented to them, but the student with the strong moral compass can turn the other way and they can do what's right, even though their parents are not hovering over them, even though the professor may not be hovering over them. They're still able to do what needs to be done. Okay, and the last character quality is discernment. So it is important that students understand why they're doing what they're doing and why they're having to learn the things that they learn. So college is not just about getting the grade, passing the class, getting your diploma. College is really about learning, not only the academic learning, but learning more about yourself, really growing in your character and learning how to be successful and be responsible so that you can become a responsible adult. So college is really a lot about growth for students, not just academic learning, but growing in their character as well. So students who have the discernment to really understand why certain things are important are much more successful because they make good decisions. They have sound judgment, and they are the ones who are able to really learn the information, internalize it, and stick with it. They're not just learning for the test or just to pass the class. They are learning because this is important. This is going to help them in their chosen career path, and this is what they are supposed to do. So they can really understand the why behind it, even if they're not enjoying the class. They can still understand that this is important, and it's more about passing the class with the grade that you want. It's about really digging deep and trying to learn so that you have these skills, you have this knowledge for life. So those students who are able to really use that discernment are successful. So those are some of the 5 character qualities that are really, really important for your children as they grow and as they go to college. So work and spend time in your homeschool teaching these character qualities. Give your children more flexibility, more responsibility as they grow so that when they get to college, they see a little bit of how it's going to be already and they are prepared for the level of freedom and all of the choices that will be offered to them as they become young adults, and they don't feel overwhelmed and take the easy road out and cause a lot of heartache, and they fail out of college, which is the story. If you didn't catch it on the blog, make sure you go back and read that. But I would love to hear from you. What character qualities are important in your homeschool? What are you working with your kids to really help them learn in order to be successful in college and in life beyond? Not everyone goes to college, of course. These are important character qualities just needed for life. So how are you implementing character training in your homeschool? I would love to hear if you comment below.